I still remember the exact words, as if they were carved into the walls of my mind. Maybe I should have married my ex, she said, her tone casual, almost teasing, like she wasn't casually dismantling 10 years of my life in a single sentence. It was a Friday evening, the kind when exhaustion of the week seeps into your bones, when you expect quiet comfort, not heartbreak. I had made dinner, nothing extravagant, just her favorite pasta, garlic bread, and a bottle of red wine. She barely touched any of it. Her phone lit up more than her smile that night. Her name is Samantha, and for so long, she had been everything I wanted in a woman. Ambitious, sharp, someone who could enter a room and instantly make it brighter. We'd been married 8 years, together nearly a decade. I thought we were beyond games, but I was wrong. That night, after her careless confession, I didn't yell. I didn't interrogate her. I just sat there, staring at the half-empty glass she held. She laughed it off. "Don't be so dramatic, James. It was just a joke." But jokes sting like knives when there's truth behind them. The next morning, she carried on as if nothing had happened, humming in the kitchen, scrolling her phone, planning her weekend brunch. I watched her from the hallway, trying to pinpoint the exact moment she stopped seeing me as her husband and started measuring me against someone who existed only in her past. That's when the small things started making sense. The sudden gym membership, the endless texting, the unfamiliar perfume. I didn't jump to conclusions, but my instincts were already screaming the truth. One evening, she casually mentioned his name, Ryan, her ex from college. She laughed while recounting a story of a midnight road trip he took her on just because she was sad. The way her eyes softened when she said his name told me everything. I smiled through it, pretending it didn't matter, but something inside me began to shut down. I stopped vying for her attention. I stopped chasing the ghost of the man she was still in love with. A week later, I found her on the porch, phone in hand, staring at old photos. When I asked if she was okay, she said, "I'm fine. Just thinking about how simple things used to be before everything got boring." That word, boring, hit me like a punch. I had spent my life giving her stability, peace, a home. I thought being boring meant being safe. To her, it meant lifeless. That night, I made a decision. I was done proving my worth. The next morning, I packed a bag. No note, no confrontation, no dramatic exit. I just walked away. I drove until the city lights vanished behind me, leaving only silence. For the first few days, I ignored her calls. Eventually, they stopped. Weeks passed. I slowly rebuilt myself, one small step at a time. I joined a new gym, picked up the guitar again, and slept without checking my phone every few minutes. And just when I started to feel free, she appeared at my door. Her hair was messy, her eyes swollen, the confidence she once carried gone. "James," she whispered, "I didn't mean it. You need to hear me out." I should have shut the door. But there was something in her voice that made me pause. She looked at me as though she had just awakened from a bad dream. "Ryan isn't who I thought he was," she said, her voice trembling. That's when I realized whatever truth she had uncovered had shattered her more than my silence ever could. For a long moment, I said nothing. She stood there on my porch, shivering in the morning light, clutching her phone like it was the only thing keeping her together. "What truth, Samantha?" I asked quietly. She hesitated. Her lips parted, but no words came. Then she took a deep breath. "I reached out to Ryan," she admitted. "After you left, I thought maybe that's what I needed. Someone who understood me again." I felt a sting in my chest, but stayed silent. She continued, eyes darting anywhere but mine. "He didn't want me back. Not really. He said he missed the idea of me. He's married now, has 2 kids. When I tried to talk about us, he said, 'Sam, that was college. We were stupid and wild. You wouldn't survive 5 days with the man I am now.'" Her voice cracked at the last line. It was strange. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt exhausted. She stepped closer, tears streaming down her face. "I ruined everything. James, you were there every day, doing everything right, and I kept looking backward. I thought excitement meant love. I thought being adored was the same as being valued. Her confession filled the quiet space between us. I'd imagined this moment before, her realization of what she'd lost, but I never imagined it would sound this hollow. "I don't hate you," I said finally, "but I can't go back to who I was. You broke something in me I didn't know could break." She nodded, biting her lip as if she already knew my answer. "I just want to tell you the truth," she whispered. "Ryan told me something else, too. He said I was selfish for reaching out while my husband was probably healing from me. He said you deserve peace, not explanations." I almost smiled. He was right. For a long while, we just stood there, the air heavy with what had been said and what could never be undone. When she left, I didn't watch her drive away. I closed the door, leaned against it, and let silence wrap around me like armor. Days passed, then weeks. I didn't hear from her again. Sometimes, memories surfaced. The road trips, the quiet mornings, the way she used to fall asleep on my shoulder. Love doesn't disappear overnight. It fades, like a photograph left in the sun. One evening, I ran into an old friend at a coffee shop. He asked if I'd heard from Samantha. When I shook my head, he said she'd been seeing a therapist. Told people she finally realized what she'd put me through. Guess she's trying to fix herself. I didn't respond. I just sipped my coffee, watching the sunset bleed into the skyline. Maybe people don't change because of guilt. They change because life forces them to face the mirror. That night, I drove back to the beach where we'd spent our anniversary. The water was calm, the sand cool beneath my feet. For the first time in years, I felt neither anger nor brokenness. I just felt lighter. I took out my phone, scrolling through old photos I'd never deleted. There she was, smiling, laughing, alive in a way she hadn't been for years. I didn't hate that version of her. I just didn't recognize her anymore. I deleted the pictures one by one. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't closure. It was simply acceptance. As I watched the tide roll in, I realized something. Sometimes the cruelest thing you can do to someone who broke you is to live better without them. Not louder, not colder, just better. The next morning, I packed up my guitar, made coffee, and opened the curtains to let the light in. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "I'm proud of you." S. I didn't reply. I set the phone down, smiled, and stepped outside. The world hadn't changed, but I had. And that, I think, was the truth she was never ready to face.